for the regular meeting, September 22nd, 2025, at the time and place is advertised. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand and join us in reciting our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excuse me. Thank you, Council. Councilor Klein, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, Councilor Klein will be participating remotely tonight. Our next order of business is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to speak on agenda items or other matters they wish to bring to the council's attention, excluding those scheduled for public hearing. In consideration of others wishing to speak, commentary is limited to 3 minutes. If you're here, if we have any citizens for public hearings, you must wait until that time. So with that, I will open it up for citizen comments to see if we have any tonight. I don't think we do, so we're just going to keep moving forward. Our next order of business is presentations. Item A, Fire Prevention Week proclamation proclaiming October 5th through 11th as Fire Prevention Week in the city of Lewiston. I'm going to present the proclamation to our Fire Marshal, Julian Sorrell, and I'm going to meet him down by the American flag and read the proclamation. City of Lewiston, Idaho, whereas the city of Lewiston is committed to ensuring the safety of all who live and visit Lewiston, and whereas fire remains a serious public safety concern, and the presence of lithium iron batteries in household devices is a unique fire risk. And whereas electronics such as smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, and toys use lithium ion batteries, which, if damaged, misused, or improperly charged, can overheat, ignite, or explode. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association reports rising battery-related fires, underscoring the need for safe handling, and whereas residents should buy listed products, charge batteries safely, recycled and properly, and whereas lithium iron batteries store large amounts of energy in small spaces and overcharging using uncertified chargers, exposing them to damage, means fire risk. And Lewiston's first responders work to prevent fires through safety, education, and outreach. Whereas the 2025 fire safety, lithium iron batteries in home highlights the safe use, charging, and recycling to prevent fires. Now, therefore, I, Dan Johnson, Mayor of the City of Lewiston, proclaim October 5 to 11, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week in the city of Lewiston, Idaho. In witness for it, I have here on second-hand seal of the city of Lewiston, Idaho, to be affixed here to this 22nd day of September 2025, Daniel J. Johnson, Mayor, Lewiston, Idaho. Julie, congratulations. Yes. Thank you for being here tonight, and I'll present to this proclamation.
Just that this year's theme being lithium-ion batteries, safety in the home. Really important. There is a significant increase in the number of lithium-ion batteries in the homes and in commercial properties as well, just because of the amount of energy that's stored. The biggest issue is actually buying listed equipment that comes with your, say, your drill, your pipe, or whatever. Don't buy the aftermarket stuff off of websites. But if it's not specifically for that piece of equipment, everything you can buy that. Also, when it's done charging, unplug it. Anywhere, any questions?
It's kind of scary.
It is.
Our next agenda items are room number 5, public hearings and related action items. Item A, public hearing for comprehensive plan amendment CPA 25-1. Accepting testimony on comprehensive plan amendment CPA 25-1, a proposal to amend the Envision Lewiston 2044 comprehensive plan concerning surface and groundwater in response to newly enacted Idaho Code 67-6508, sub R 67-6537. This is an action item. We have our assistant city planner with us here, Katie Hollingshead. I will open the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation, testimony from the public, if there is any. Just a reminder that no additional evidence or testimony may be received once the public hearing is closed. So that will be your time to ask questions, council, of the public, applicant, and/or staff, and then I will close the public hearing. So with that, I will open the public hearing and turn it over to our Assistant City Planner, Katie Hollingshead. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Katie Hollingshead, Assistant Planner. So our first one tonight is a comprehensive plan amendment. So in the packet, I included for Council the section of Idaho State Code related to planning duties. This is specific to what is required from the state in a comprehensive plan. So this is 67-6508 in Idaho Code. The legislature this year passed an additional item to be added. And so that is paren R regarding surface groundwater. So the item specific in the code section from state code says, when considering amending, repealing, or adopting a plan, the local governing board shall consider the effect that proposed amendment, repeal, or adoption of the plan would have on the source, quantity, and quality of groundwater in the area. So our current comprehensive plan does not contain that language or reference to that language. So now that it's part of state code requiring that to be part of our comprehensive plan, the amendment that is in front of you tonight is to add that specifically to our comprehensive plan. So that is done by a resolution. And then I've included the two sections from our actual physical comprehensive plan where those amendments would be made. So one would be in page 99 of the comprehensive plan document itself. And so that's under just groundwater. And so it says, pursuant to Idaho Code Section 67-6508 paren R, adoption, amendment, or repeal of comprehensive plan shall consider the effect on the source, quantity, and quality of groundwater in the area. Pursuant to Idaho Code Section 67-6537, all applicants proposing land use changes shall be required to use surface water where reasonably available as a primary source for irrigation. So surface water is water that comes out of the sky, not water that is coming out of one of our aquifers, just for clarification. And then the other portion of the plan that would be amended is on page 113 of the plan document. It says the exact same thing. Also included in the packet, this did go for public hearing in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission. They did recommend approval to this body. And you can see that Barney Metz, who is the general manager of the Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District and was also present at the meeting representing the Idaho Water Users Association, stated that groundwater resources are under some form of stress as populations continue to grow. They have Lloyd has had previous developers who do not want to use the irrigation lines that are available and wanted to do outside watering with the domestic water. And this causes stress on the domestic sources that are available. The new law from the state, as stated by Mr. Metz, will help relieve that stress. And they, as in Idaho Water Users Association and Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District, are in support of it being entered into the City of Lewiston's comprehensive plan. I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Katie. Council questions for Ms. Hollingshead? Councilor Spickelmeyer?
Thank you, Mayor. So Katie, this only really affects the orchards where they have access to the Lloyd's irrigation water?
For our particular city, yes. So city water users, that's a single source water, but in the orchards, they do have the dual source. But this is not, I mean, just remember, this comes from state code, so this is meant to cover the gamut of all cities within Idaho. So in our particular case, it only really affects the orchards area where most of our growth is occurring.
So it doesn't, thank you, and it doesn't affect current projects underway? That
My understanding is
like
if the project is already underway, that they would just kind of continue on. Like they can't, my understanding is they can't make them like go back and force them to use it, but anything moving forward would be subject to the new law.
Okay, thank you. Other council comments, questions? Councilor Wright?
Yeah, so just a couple things. The wording in here, which I assume isn't our wording, this is the state's wording, where it says reasonably available. Do we have a definition, kind of a plan of how we're gonna work through what reasonably available means when we get someone coming forward saying, this isn't reasonable to me?
Ultimately, they'll probably under the decision of Lloyd, because it's not, the city doesn't offer separate water services for irrigation. We don't have a separate irrigation water source. So Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District would be the water purveyor in those particular cases where they do have two different types of water sources. My educated guess would be, because I know that they cannot annex new irrigation customers in, that if irrigation was not already available, then that would be considered not reasonably available, and then the use of the domestic service would be the choice. But if there was already irrigation lines available in an area, then they would probably push them to use those already available lines. But
Right.
again, not necessarily the city's decision or choice, because it would not be our water system providing that water. It would be the Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District.
Jennifer Tangano, City Attorney. To make it even simpler, reasonably available is defined in Idaho Code. And so you would look under Idaho Code Section 67-6537, and it lists out the criteria on whether or not it's reasonably available.
Perfect, okay.
That criteria would be followed.
Perfect. That's what I was looking for. And then the other, Mr. Mayor, can I?
Councilor Wright, please.
Thank you. The other thing is with maybe smaller developments or infill type developments, do we have, I guess, any thoughts or plans moving forward to make this not a undue burden on them to where they can't compete anymore and only big developers would be able to meet the costs of hooking up to these water lines? Are any concerns around that this is gonna cause a challenge for smaller development? Okay,
So there's always a cost to hook up the water, but you have to hook up to water so that you can flush your toilets, take showers.
oh, for sure.
With city water, it's one water, right? It's not a separate situation. This is really kind of specific to if there are two separate situations. Like
Right, this would be the
Lewiston Orchards
irrigation water.
So the city does not provide separate irrigation water. It's all domestic water. So
Right.
this would be specific to like the Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District or other irrigation districts like them in other parts of this state. And ultimately, the city is not the one making those decisions about what they charge for their water and their hookup fees, because they're a separate entity.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So no, from a city standpoint, I don't foresee there being any problem. I can't speak to the decisions that the Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District makes because they're a separate entity.
Gotcha.
Councilor Forsman?
This is probably more of a Jennifer question. She was already up here. I didn't want to yell at her. She was going back down. Is this a requirement? Like, is there instances where we don't have to adopt it as a city, or is it because Idaho has made it one, we have to adopt it? And what's the purpose behind that? Especially if Lloyd is its own entity. I guess I'm failing to see the premise behind it. Important.
Jennifer Tangano, City Attorney. To the extent that it is contained with the Idaho Land Use Planning Act and the state wholly regulates that particular area of law, then the city is required to adopt the requirements that are set by the Idaho legislature. So to the extent that we are now required to consider this in our planning process, we must adopt it.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, further questions? Okay, Councilor Wright?
One more. Along the same lines with, reasonably available and the way I'm looking at this, so right now, before this is in place, Lloyd or any private utility that's providing irrigation water, it would be a choice, maybe an easy choice that developers would make and they would want to hook up to it. But moving forward, after this is changed, then it's a law. They have to hook up to it. So do we have any responsibility to monitor what kind of expense is being put on these companies from Lloyd to do this hookup? Since we'll be enforcing it.
So one of the primary things to consider about this proposed legislation, or it's not proposed, enacted legislation, is that it primarily makes a distinction between groundwater and surface water. And the city of Lewiston uses surface water for our water customers to the extent that, and really that's, do we allow wells to be dug and people to have groundwater rights, or are they required to use existing surface water rights? And to the extent that someone in the city who is a water customer of the city of Lewiston has the option between using groundwater or existing water rights, under Lewiston City Code, they would be required to use existing surface water rights, so the city's water service. To the extent that someone might be in Lloyd or elsewhere in the state and they have the option to dig a well for irrigation purposes, this new law requires them for new applications to use surface water rights where already available instead of just digging a well. And it's primarily aimed to address water problems in southern Idaho. So there's not as much of an impact in, say, the city of Lewiston as there are in other areas. And we don't have any regulatory control over what Lloyd does or what Lloyd or Nez Perce County requires for those connecting to their water services.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Any testimony from the public? Don't see any. So I will close the public hearing on this. Thank you. Councilors, you now have up before you Resolution 2025-21. This is item 5B on our agenda, considering amending the envisioned Lewiston 2044 comprehensive plan to include changes relative to surface and groundwater. This is an action item. Our assistant city planner is still here. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion. Councilor Schroeder.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-21.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, seconded by Councilor Forsman to approve Resolution 2025-21. City Attorney Tangano.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Wright,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Councilor Klein.
Aye.
Thank you, council. Motion carries. Thank you. Item C, public hearing for zone change application, PNC 25-2, accepting testimony on an application by Steve Carlton requesting a zone change from agricultural transitional F2 zone to general commercial C4 zone for an approximately 4.83 acre parcel, also known as RPL 355W008471, located immediately to the west of 805 Stewart Avenue. This is an action item. And again, we have our assistant city planner with us here, Katie Hollingshead. I will open the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation. We will take any applicant's testimony or presentation he may have testimony from the public. As a reminder, no additional evidence or testimony may be received once the public hearing is closed. So council, this is the time to ask any questions you might have with the public, applicant, and/or staff. If there is any testimony provided, the applicant will have a chance to rebut that evidence. If staff wants to give a recommendation after hearing from the public and the applicant, then we'll allow the applicant a chance to rebut and have the last word. I will then close the public hearing. You will deliberate, discuss relevant criteria and standards, identify relevant facts and information, and articulate detailed reasons for the proposed decision. So that's your homework. Then we will have discussion amendments, and then we will vote on it. So close the hearing somewhere in there. So with that, I will open the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, before you open the public hearing, I just realized that with City Clerk Rocky not here, that IT probably does not have my PowerPoint in PowerPoint. And that you guys just have the PDF. Can I visit with them quickly?
Just
All
speak
that
up,
to
just
you.
look.
My PowerPoint that I would normally present to you with the pictures and maps is not loaded. Can I go visit with IT really quick?
Oh, you may, yeah, we'll go to these.
You guys have like the PDF version of it in your packets.
Okay,
But with Clerk Rocky not here, I did not realize she would not be here, so I don't think my stuff is loaded up there.
let's go to these for a minute then.
Yep.
Okay. All right, council will be these. Council come to order, please. Katie. We will open the public hearing for good this time.
Okay, Katie Hollington, City, Assistant City Planner. Sorry for the technical issues tonight, but we're gonna make it work. So tonight I bring you an application by Steve Carlton. This is the NC 25-2. This is a proposal to rezone a parcel of land that is adjacent to 805 Stewart Avenue. You can see it right here. So a couple months ago, you guys saw the application for 805 and its associated land. That was a rezone application from C3 and F2 to C4. So Mr. Carlton is back in front of you tonight asking to also rezone this adjacent piece of property from F2 to C4. So F2 is that agricultural transitional area, has the minimum lot size of 5 acres. Very, very limited with what you can do. Farming is one of those things, single family dwellings, bed and breakfasts. Not a whole lot is allowed in that particular area. A rezone to our general commercial C4 zone would open up Mr. Carlton's ability to develop the property further and allows for a higher variety of uses. One of those uses, as you can see from the staff report, is the ability to have second-story residential uses above a first-story commercial use. So you could have something like offices or retail stores on the bottom and then have second-floor apartments. Like I said, property is not addressed. It is vacant land. It is adjacent to 805 Stewart Avenue. Stewart Avenue dead ends at the end of this property. So the pavement ends. There's a dead end sign right here, pretty close to where the corner of the property is. As you can see on our zoning map, the green is that F2. The zoning map has not been updated quite yet from when the previous rezone that you guys completed earlier this summer. That's only a month and a half old. So outlined in black is the subject property that we are looking at. It is, I believe, hold on, I think it's just short of 5 acres. 4.83 acres. So you can see, so down here, this bright red color, that's a C3 zone. This yellowish color is our R2A, that's a residential zone. This kind of tannish color, we'll call it, is a planned unit development that encompasses quite a bit of the property to the east across Thane. So that's where North 40 is. There is a couple different housing developments in there. There's apartment complexes. There's a manufactured housing subdivision in there. There's a bunch of duplexes and condos over all in that planned unit development. And then, as we were just talking about from our comprehensive plan, we have a future land use map. So the future land use is identified as community commercial, which is one of those uses that does allow for a variety of items to be accomplished within it. Specifically, the community commercial area is to provide a mid to high intensity commercial uses that attract people from across the community. Most intense uses should be located adjacent to major roadways, particularly near intersections of 2 major roadways. Uses should decrease in intensity when located farther from major roadways and near less intense residential areas. Inactive uses such as storage or warehousing should be located behind more active commercial uses that would go along a street. Also from our comprehensive plan, as you can see in my staff report, I identified a couple of the different goals and objectives from the plan that are applicable to this particular application. So LU.1 is accommodate future development and redevelopment. This is a property that has been kind of not used to its full development potential. If you remember from the previous application, former radio station building was right here. Mr. Carlton does plan on demolishing that building to make way for the future subdivision of the land. And then after that, different buildings based on the needs of the community and what buyers or leasers are looking for from him. Also would be LU 1.1, which is optimized compatibility, align incompatible zoning and land uses and development regulations for future land use to establish consistent and compatible growth patterns. So that community commercial future land use is not compatible with the agricultural transitional area. Normally, we prefer to see those agricultural transitional areas kind of on the outreaches of town, where you're getting more rural, not necessarily right in the middle of town, and probably definitely not next to one of our major arterial thoroughfares, which is Thane Road right here. LU 1.3 is balanced land uses, so establish land use patterns that accommodate various land uses in proportion to the needs of the community. And then ED1 is one of our economic development goals and objectives, which is to strengthen Lewiston's role as a regional economic hub. So opening up more site-specific and business-specific buildings and configuration of land uses. Like I said, having that second story residential use opens up more possibilities that you might not otherwise be able to see in this particular area. And then it's a larger picture of kind of the surrounding neighborhood. So like I said, Stewart Avenue dead ends right here at the edge. This is all this vacant land. It's currently being farmed. There's a ravine over here. There's single family dwellings to the south. There is this commercial corridor that follows along Thane. There are a variety of commercial businesses at that intersection. Hopper's Pizza, grocery outlet. There's a furniture store up there, McDonald's, O'Reilly Auto Parts. On the opposite side, there's a USDA service center. There's a mortgage company. There's a gym. There's another auto parts store. There's a gas station. And then North 40 is here on the east side. And then there's Rock and Roll Realty here in the corner, and Zion's Bank kind of here in the middle. And then, like I said, a kind of more dense residential use in this portion of the planned unit development. And it's a mixed use. So there's condos, townhouses, there's single family dwellings, there's a manufactured home subdivision in there. There's apartment complex. And then as you move north down Juniper, there are a couple of assisted living and long-term care centers. And then you get into that work property where you see like SEL, the movie theater, eye care specialists, those types of businesses as you're going down the hill to where it connects with Northwest Drive. So as stated before, the request is to go to that C4 commercial. Are generally similar to the C3, which is across the street and immediately adjacent. With that exception that you can then do the second floor residential. Thane Road is designated as an arterial street. Stewart Avenue is a collector street. It does turn into a local road once you get past this intersection with 8th. And like I said, it does dead end there, and the pavement stops, and it dives down quite a bit as it goes into this ravine that you see over here. Our Planning and Zoning Commission did hold a public hearing in August. It was unanimously approved and suggested to council for approval. Also included in your packet, I know that Jennifer has gone over this with the council before. Planning and zoning always does a reason statement. But so I included the worksheet that I normally give to them in your packet so that you could see those different items that you should be discussing and deliberating over when making your decision tonight. That I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Katie. Council, any questions for Assistant City Planner Hollingshead? Councilor Forsman?
Had one, when we went and did the rezone earlier, that was also F2 to C4, correct?
Yes, it was, part of it was C3, part of it was F2. All of it got rezoned to the C4.
And we have to do two different public hearings because they're two different parcels, is that correct?
They were applied for separately.
Oh,
So
okay.
had Mr. Carlton applied for both of them together, we could have done them both together, but that's not the process that he followed. And so they are two separate applications.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter. I was just more curious if they wanted to pursue that way, could they do it at the same time?
Yes.
So good to know. Okay, thank you.
Counselor Wright?
Just more of a comment, just as this, I mean, there's a big area of land and happy to see it getting used. But one thing I just wanted to mention was the, roads impact. Are we keeping track of this as this project will move forward and thinking about how this flow is gonna
Yes,
work?
so the way that it works is land use has to be completed first before Mr. Carlton can move forward with the other steps of the development process. So once the land application has been either approved or denied, if it is approved, then he can move forward with a subdivision. So subdivision is where more city departments get to weigh in, specifically our Public Works Department and the engineering team. And they would look at things like road placement, egress, path of travel, those sorts of things. So those are not land use items. Those are done at the next step, which would be the subdivision.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Counselor Klein, can you hear everything? Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I can hear most of it, and I've thoroughly read the packet, so we're good.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Forsman?
Should we just go over the response to zone change application questions? That's what you're referring to, right?
That's for the reason statement. I think that you would let the applicant provide any testimony and then take testimony from the public
through
before
that.
you would do that. Normally, you would close your public hearing before you would start doing your deliberation.
Okay.
But if you do have any questions regarding any of those listed items that you need to be going over, now would be the time to ask either me or the applicant.
I don't see any issue.
Okay. Steve, do you have a presentation or comments for us tonight, please? Please introduce yourself for the record. Thank you.
Steve Carlton, Lewiston, Idaho. This was actually kind of a screw up on my part. We talked about only doing half, and then I said, well, let's just do the whole thing. And it didn't happen, and that's why we did the one parcel, and I didn't really know about it until planning and zoning that night. And I thought, uh-oh, thought we were doing the whole thing. So that's why I'm here again. I meant to do the whole thing in the first place, so it just miscommunication with my gal that was doing it with me. So my fault, totally my fault. But I intended to do the whole thing, to get the whole thing rezoned instead of just half of it. Because sure enough, something would go into that and then it'd be farm, so we just do the whole thing. So we don't have any plans, we don't have anything drawn up. We're gonna get rid of the old station here in a few months and see what happens.
Counselors, any questions for Steve, for Mr. Carlton? Like we're good. Thank you on that, Steve.
Thank you.
We don't have any members of the public here. We will ask for testimony from the public, just for the record. Counselors, just a reminder, no additional evidence or testimony may be received once the public hearing is closed. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask it. Our city planner or applicant, or of the public, which we do not have here. There is no applicant's rebuttal. So counselors, if you have no further questions, comments, I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you, Katie. 6:39. Counselors, now it's up to you to deliberate, discuss the relevant criteria and standards, identify relevant facts and information, and articulate detailed reasons for the proposed decision. And so if you have your computers in front of you, it starts on page well, I guess separately, but page 57 of your packet and/or on your computers, you can see the relevant criteria and standards that planning and zoning used. If you have some comments on those, something more than you agree would probably be helpful for the record. If you need just a moment to take a look at those, we will slow down a little bit and let you take a look at them. Begins on page 57 and goes through page 60.
Mayor, councilors, Attorney Jennifer Tingano. Also, there should be the planning and zoning's reason statement within your packet, and you can refer to and reference and adopt some or all of that to support your decision-making as well, if you choose to.
Jennifer. Councilor Forsman?
Is it easier if we've read this out in the past and then kind of all agreed on each one. Is it easier if we just do it that way?
Jennifer Tingano, City Attorney, you are the masters of the process. If you would like to do that, you're welcome to do so. It is helpful for myself and city staff, and then for the record as well, if you read through and explain everything, because we do have to create a verbatim record, but whatever process you would like to follow, you guys are able to determine that.
Councilor Wright?
Yeah, so I can just start out here and you let me know if I'm not reading the right spot. So number one, the proposed rezone is in general conformance with the Lewiston Comprehensive Plan. And commentary, I would add to that, this area of the town is a shopping area. We have North 40 across the street. We have other stores nearby. So I would expect more commercial on the other side of the road as well. Number one.
Very, very well done. Good start.
All right.
I concur.
Counselor Wright, is there any particular information you were presented today that leads you to that conclusion?
Yes, when North 40 was brought up across the street, I mean, we had a very similar conversation just a couple meetings ago, but in this meeting, the same thing, seeing the location on the map, what commercial buildings were nearby, and the main road of 21st Street next to these properties.
Councilor Forsman?
The subject property is not at least as well suited or is better suited for the proposed zoning district than the existing zoning district. I would say it is better suited. I don't think that having cows or any kind of livestock in the corner of in that corner, and especially with buildings across North 40 and a heavy intersection would make sense. So to me, it is better suited to have commercial versus agriculture. My reasoning.
Counselor Forsman, is there any particular information that you were presented tonight that leads you to that conclusion?
Yes, as I stated, looking in the surrounding areas and seeing commercial buildings and then having cows in the area near commercial buildings and in a busy intersection obviously would not make sense to have agriculture on that corner. It's better suited to have commercial.
I agree.
Not very scientific, so sorry. Sorry for that. Rick, do you want to do 3, Counselor?
Certainly.
The proposed rezone does not present foreseen immitigable impacts of incompatible uses or development being located in the same vicinity. We've already changed the zoning directly adjacent to the east. The west side is kind of a no man's land. We do have adequate public services and infrastructure in place to serve the future development of the subject property.
Any other counselors
Counselor,
comment on that?
I would just add, Counselor Kleberg, was there any information not presented today that would support that? So I would note the lack of testimony in opposition to the application can be used as justification for the council as a reason for a particular finding, should you make it.
It was not provided?
Yeah, so.
No, I've driven by it for the 35 years I've lived here in town.
So there was no information provided in the packet or the testimony today that would indicate there are any incompatible, any incompatible impacts. So in making that decision, are you also noting that there was no opposition to indicate any potential incompatible uses?
That's correct. Thank you.
Counselor Schroeder, would you want to read?
Are anticipated, not anticipated, provided by any political subdivision within the planning jurisdiction, including school districts. And I don't see anything that is going to be a burden on any kind of delivery of services. It's only going to be enhanced because you're going to have more roadways and more activities, and the political subdivision within the planning district, including school districts. So I'm not seeing anything that would create any kind of undue burden.
Counselor Schroeder, I would also note too, political subdivisions were notified of this application and there's no opposition received from those political subdivisions in the packet of information. Is that also a finding that you would like to use to support your conclusion?
Yes, it was. Thank you. Thank you very much. I had read that, but I forgot to put that in. Yes, definitely they approved.
We're doing well. Hey, Counselor, you have a couple more to go through. Counselor Forsman,
Picklemeyer, did you want to, or do you want to loop it back? All right.
asked you to do number 5, Counselor.
Did he? Excuse me, I didn't hear that. The size, type, intensity, and density of development expected to occur on the subject property as a result of the rezoning is not suitable for the area and will not unduly burden the neighborhood, public infrastructure, or environmental resources. Okay, let me see if I can get this right. I think the subject property as a result of this rezoning is suitable for the area and will not unduly burden the neighborhood, public infrastructure, or environment resources because there is already the infrastructure to sustain this proposed development, or I should say proposed rezone, and nothing in the packet indicated there would be any burden or opposition to.
Counselors, other comments on that?
Counselor
agree.
Forsman, are you intending to adopt the findings of the staff report in support of that?
Yes.
Right, so this is a new one. The proposed.
right.
Thank you, Mr.
Sorry.
Mayor. The proposed rezone is in conformance with Idaho Code 67-6537, use of surface and groundwater. We have available water in the area that if there's development on this property under the C4 zoning, that could be made available. I see no reason why it isn't able to conform just like the other commercial properties nearby.
Mayor,
Council President Kleber.
I'd just like to add on to that we just adopted that 6537 under our public hearing for comprehensive plan amendment.
Am I good with that, Jennifer? Or any follow-up?
Is there anything related to the absence of testimony related to that particular provision that you'd like to adopt as well?
I do not believe so. I mean, we just discussed the code 67-6537 language, so I suppose, yes, we could bring in the decision that we just made to, let me just.
I'm sorry, Counselor Wright, you're not able to bring in that decision that you just made because this is a quasi-judicial process. So you can only rely upon the information provided in your packet or that was presented to you today. You're not permitted to rely on information that was not a part of the public hearing. So while there is information in the packet that indicates there was no opposition from any city services, there's also no commentary related to that particular provision because it's likely not applicable to this thing. But you can take any inference that you like to draw from the absence of information presented about the item.
I gotcha. I would have the inference of it's not an issue.
That's likely a reasonable inference.
Thank you.
This is fun. This is fun, Counselor. Thank you. Is there further council comments? None?
I'd like to, Mayor,
Counselor Schroeder?
I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to draft the reasoned statement approving ZNC 25-2 without any conditions.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Council President Kleber to draft the reasoned statement approving ZNC 25-2 without any additional conditions. Further discussion or amendments? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Council. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Council, next up, we have item D, first reading of ordinance 4954, considering implementing the City Council's decision in CNC 25-2, declaring that certain real property be removed from the agricultural transitional F2 zone to the general commercial C4 zone and amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston. This is an action item. Again, if you have questions, our Assistant City Planner, Katie Hollingshead, is here. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion. Councilor Schroeder?
I move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4954 by title only.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, seconded by Councilor Wright to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4954 by title only. Is there discussion or amendments? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. City Attorney Tangano.
An ordinance of the City of Lewiston implementing the City Council's decision in ZNC 25-2, declaring that certain real property be removed from the agricultural transitional F2 zone to the general commercial C4 zone, amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Jennifer. Council, next up, we move to Roman numeral 6, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless the councilor so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the active agenda under items moved from the consent agenda. Councilor Schroeder,
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
been moved by Councilor Schroeder, seconded by Council President Kleberg to approve the consent agenda. City Attorney Tangano.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Wright,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Councilor Klein.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Jennifer. Next, we move to Roman numeral 7, active agenda, item A, purchase of 2 transit buses through TIPS Cooperative, considering approving the purchase of 2 Turtle Top Terra transit buses from ABC Texas Bus Sales through the Interlocal Purchasing System, TIPS, Cooperative in the amount of $331,995.68, plus $12,000 for ancillary enhancements for total estimated project cost of $343,995.68. This is an action item. Our transit manager is with us here tonight, Chris Usher, if you have questions for him. Otherwise, council, I would entertain a motion. Councilor Schroeder,
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2 Turtle Top Tierra transit buses from ABC Texas Bus Sales, Inc., along with the necessary ancillary equipment for a total estimated projected cost of $343,995.68, and authorizing the mayor to execute the associated agreement between the City of Lewiston and ABC Texas Bus Sales, Inc.
Second.
been moved by Councilor Schroeder, seconded by Council President Kleberg to approve the purchase of 2 Turtle Top Terra transit buses from ABC Texas Bus Sales, Inc., along with the necessary ancillary equipment for a total estimated projected cost of $343,995.68, and authorize the mayor to execute the associated agreement between the City of Lewiston and ABC Texas Bus Sales, Inc. Attorney Tangano.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Wright,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman. Aye. Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Councilor Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, Jennifer. And just for a moment of levity here, 2 Turtle Top Terra Transit, that almost sounds like a Christmas song. It's like, you know,
I had to struggle.
5 golden rings, 4 whatever, 3, 2, 1. But that's what was going through my mind when I read that. Item B, Resolution 2025-45, considering approving an affiliation agreement between the city and Idaho State University on behalf of its paramedic program, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign and attest the agreement respectively. This is an action item. We do have our deputy fire chief with us here, Chief Lucas, to present if you have questions, council. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion. Councilor Wright, or Speckelmeyer, pardon me.
Thank you, Mayor. So I do have a question, Chief.
Deputy Chief Richie Lucas, Lewiston Fire.
So on this, it seems like a long ways away for Idaho State University to send somebody here. Why Lewiston?
So Idaho State University out of southern Idaho, they have several programs on there, Idaho Falls and other locations. And so there's an academic program, which allows them to go into universities and academies and allow students to get, grant funding and things like that. And they're just expanding their program to North Idaho, to just make it more successful, I guess. So they're doing a program here. There's only 6 students right now, or 5 in this current program, the max of 12. So yeah, they're just putting adjunct in at LCSC. They're also looking to start an NP, a nurse practitioner, and program here as well, I believe. But I think that's later.
So is the advantage to us that you might be able to recruit them here?
Say that again, sir.
What's our advantage of having them come here?
Having them come here, it's just an access point for our local EMTs, firemen, and people from outside the area to come and go to school. It's just just another program that LCSC will offer through ISU, just a partnership. So for us, the benefit of Lewiston Fire is we can have our firefighters that are full-time firefighters or reserve firefighters actually attend paramedic school here, do in-person classes, in-person labs, and do their local ride-alongs with Lewiston Fire, as opposed to they'd have to travel somewhere else to do those rides because they're just a part of that process as you go through medic school, that field internship ride time. So for us, like our department, our city, it gives us a local option for our firefighters and EMTs to attend paramedic school. So it's a good thing for our fire department because we are ALS transport service and really just keeping those programs in-house or in the area just assist us with carrying on our service we provide to our community. So,
Okay.
although there's other programs, like there's remote programs where people have to travel, east to Boston and different places like that. But personally, I think any in-person medic class, EMT, paramedicine is more beneficial. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor,
Counselor Forsman.
and now correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of our hires that we get start as reserves and then we hire into becoming full-time into our departments, correct? So we use that a lot, utilize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, the system we have in place here in Lewiston, and it's been that way. Every person that works for Lewiston Fire on the floor level has come from the reserve program. But we get to more or less test drive our employees before we hire them. And so we only hire from that group, where other departments, other cities hire from outside. They just national search and do a generic test and then hire from outside. But yeah, it's got its, like every program, it's good and bad things. So.
Counselor Schroeder.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-45.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Forsman to approve Resolution 2025-45. City Attorney Tangano.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Wright,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
and Councilor Pine.
Aye.
And carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, Deputy Chief Lucas. Council, next up, we have item C, ordinances. Number 1, first reading. A, ordinance 4957, concerning amending Lewiston City Code, section 35-71.1, adding an additional disabled parking space in downtown Lewiston. This is an action item. And if you'd like, Councilor Schroeder.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4957 by title only.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Council President Kleber to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4957 by title only. Is there discussion or amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. City Attorney Tangano.
An ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending Lewiston City Code Section 35-71.1, adding an additional disabled parking space in downtown Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Jennifer. Council, next up, we have Roman number 9, unfinished and new business. Item A, city councilor comments. Comments shall not be related to an item currently before the city council or an item that may come before the city council in the foreseeable future, and shall be limited to comments, not discussion. Councilors. Council President Kleberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I spent a little time at the fair this weekend with the city of Lewiston's booth. And I enjoyed the opportunity to talk with citizens. People had questions about what we were trying to sell them on this time. And I think we had some good discussions. I think staff did a good job the time I was there, and seemed a little bit slow at times. You know, I wish there was a little more citizen participation. But on the whole, I think it was valuable time spent by city staff and those of us that showed up to explain what we're trying to do with the infrastructure project. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Forsman.
First off, I just want to thank all the counselors when they have questions or they're asking things from the staff. They often ask for it to be forwarded to all the counselors through the proper channels, of course, so that we all have the same information. Sometimes there's things that other counselors think to ask that maybe I didn't think to ask, and that are really helpful in us making our decisions we make and propelling our city in the right direction. So I appreciate the counselors for that and transparency in that. I also was at the fair on Sunday for a little bit, and I want to thank Public Works and the fire department and the police department going there and educating the public and being part of informing our citizens and also those who are visiting the fair maybe that are outside of town, just about Lewiston and also the project that we're trying to accomplish. And so I know it takes time out of your weekend to be there. And also the counselors that were there and volunteered to stand at the booth and share their opinions and expertise. So just want to thank those that took a time out of their daily lives to do that.
Thank you, Councilor. Further council comments? Councilor Klein, do you have comments tonight?
No comments tonight.
Thank you, Councilor. Council, next up, we have item B, city boards and commissions liaison updates. Councilor Wright.
Yeah, a couple of them. So we had the emergency 911 meeting, the joint meeting with the county and the city. And discussion items, we talked about expenditures and revenue for 2025 and 2026, and some discussion on cybersecurity and potential new CAD software, just some initial looks at a new piece of software. And quite a bit of discussion around the statewide NG 911 update, and then some legal discussion as we were we switched from, I forget the vendor's name, but we switched network vendors are in the process of that to going with Motorola. And action items, just some updates on Motorola Vesta upgrade, and then we had some surplus items that was an action item to vote on, so we can sell those. And then the DAC meeting that we also had last week, so only really one main agenda item. We spoke further about the group housing, just because that's come up a couple times here at council, and it seemed a proper venue for that discussion with the Disability Advisory Commission. And spoke through that and had a lot of questions, a good discussion, and we'll see where that goes from here. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Council. Counselor Speckelmeyer?
Yep. Last Wednesday, we had the Parks and Rec Commission. Worked most of the time on updating their new master plan or the old master plan. And we introduced 2 new commission members, and actually one of the new members did a presentation on a proposal to implement a city volunteer program. It was very interesting. I think he'll be bringing it to the mayor, and so it was very interesting. You know, he had some really good information on it, so look forward to moving forward on that.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, mayor comments. I'd like to share with everyone, maybe you've heard about it or not, but Lewis Clark Valley Chamber of Commerce is having a manufacturing appreciation event on October 7th, 2025 at the Nez Perce County Fairgrounds from 5 to 8. This is coming up soon, but we need to get the word out on this and certainly work with our manufacturers in the valley here. But here's the gist of it. Celebrate Manufacturing Appreciation Month. Join us Tuesday, October 7th from 5 to 8 at the Nez Perce County Fairgrounds for an evening dedicated to honoring the manufacturers who power our local and regional economy. It's sponsored by CCI Spear. Kick off a showcase of exhibitors, giving guests a chance to explore the incredible work being done right here in the LC Valley. So we should be very proud about that. There'll be a dinner and other events during that night. Great opportunity for the CT teachers, industry leaders, and community members and students to connect, network, and show appreciation for the innovators and makers who keep our valley thriving. So I need to follow up and see how I can be involved in that. But just to let everyone else know about that, it's a pretty unique opportunity. If you have questions, I would direct you to the Lewis Clark Valley Chamber of Commerce, and they'll have answers for you. Councilors, that next moves us to item D, agenda topics.
Mayor?
Councilor Klein?
Yes, I would like to move to include the topic of adding prayer to our future agendas to the October 6th agenda.
Could you repeat that, Councilor?
Yes. Move to include the topic of adding prayer to our future agendas to the October 6th agenda.
The October 6th work session, Councilor?
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilor Klein to add prayer as a subject to our October 6th work session.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Klein, second by Councilor Wright, to add to the October 6th work session the subject of prayer to our agenda, to the council agenda. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Like motion carries. Thank you, council. Are there further agenda topics? Hearing none, we'll move to Roman numeral 10, adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Council President Kleberg, seconded by Councilor Schroeder to adjourn. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, council.